So basically, everybody's played an RPG of some sort of a kind. You know, if it's Persona, if it's Final Fantasy, things like that. But the question is, did you play games like Dungeons and Dragons? Where you pretty much build this character from the ground up with even more detail than what electronically we can do right now. And of course, a lot of people are like, well, it's really time consuming. I don't care about miniatures and tabletop games like that. It's silly. It seems silly to me. Well, being a kid growing up, I started off with the what we could call the casual board games with Monopoly, Candyland, cough cough, and things like that. Then as I got older, I moved into things like D&D, which used to play with a buddy of mine. I think it was like the third Saturday every month. We'd sit and play for probably a good 12 hours and basically move 20 feet in our campaign because he was an asshole. And he's like, oh, you're trying to scratch your head? Roll to see if you can scratch. Oh, you tried to scratch your head, missed your head, and punched the wall. Shit like that. But let me get back to what I was doing here. Games like these, I think, help people appreciate where the virtual worlds are taking us more so. And I think, with a background in these kind of games and experiencing these, it really helps you understand and grasp the role that you play in video games. It may not even have to be an actual like RPG. Games like Mafia, where you play a character and you start from the bottom and have to work your way up. It just gives you that sense of, oh, I'm literally starting from the creation of this character to seeing that this character all the way to the end, be it that they die or be it that they rule over the empire or whatever it is. So it's things like that that really catch my attention, and I just wonder, has anybody else actually sat down and thought about where these actually come into play with that type of thing?
Well, see, before video games was a big old thing, we had RPG games like D&D, and we had all the board games, which I still love playing with my kids. I played many board games, from your typical ones for the entire family to a board game that's all about kaijus and board games centered around adults. I've always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing games like that. I've never had the chance to. I actually was talking to a buddy today who actually makes his own different ones, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but he does different ones about, medieval fantasy to monsters and evil entities and to the more lighthearted stuff, and he actually goes through and hand makes everything for it. And he was talking about bringing me in to play a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons and some of these homemade ones that he's done, and I can't wait to try it out. I've always wanted to play. I've heard it's a lot of fun. This is some uber geek shit going to way back in the day, but I can't wait to give it a try.
I mean, like I said, I've had experience with it before. I've even played without actually being in the room with everybody. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Google had a basically, you make a chat room with your friends and stuff, and they had apps where you could add in a dice. You selected what sided die it was and stuff, and you would roll, and it'd show everybody in the room what it was, and you type in, say, oh, I'm rolling to check this crate. And then you roll a 20-sided die and say you got like a 16, you needed a 12 to open it, then the dungeon master would let you know, hey, it's opened or whatnot. Like, I played that way, and I played the traditional way with the little miniatures and actually moving the miniatures and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I think it's fun. I think, it's something that even if you don't think you'll be into it, just try it once. You never know. I didn't think I'd be into it, and I ended up rather enjoying it.
Yeah, like my buddy was saying, he also pointed out, well, actually his girlfriend did today, that they have a thing called like tabletop thing that you can get off Steam and stuff that can actually play like Dungeons and Dragons and other games like that. Not just that, but it also does like board games like Jumanji and this and that. So that was something to give it a try, because I actually brought you up, Vod, and they're like, well, hell, we could all do one of those tabletop ones off Steam.
Yeah, it's a tabletop simulator. That's why when I sent you the text about this, I was calling it tabletop games instead of board games, but it is what it is. Oh no, it's fine. I
thought what I heard. That's what I thought I heard.
I have a lot of experience with playing Monopoly. That's about
You
it.
mean Friend Wrecker?
No, Uno is more of a friend record than that.
Dominoes
Then you
is
weren't
pretty
playing
bad.
it right.
True.
No, but I mean, to be honest, I mean, I don't know about the end, but the only experience that I have with games like that is ones that we played with Derek.
Yeah.
Because
My
him
brother-
and Des always bring
Yeah.
those over on the holidays when we're all.
My brother and his wife have an extensive library of board games, like stuff they'll get at a Gen Con.
Oh,
They'll
wow.
find at a game store that's close by them. I have one. It's the Legends game, the card game that came out a few years ago that Gen Con did a huge thing for. There was a big tournament actually. It was pretty interesting. The board games that my brother and Des will bring over will be
Like, sometimes they're fantasy, sometimes they're like
yeah.
games.
Yeah.
Like, I think the last one that we played was the one where we had to figure out how someone died.
Yeah.
Like Clue?
No, it wasn't Clue.
So the last one I think we all kind of played was this game where somebody was a ghost. And you have all of these cards, and you kind of have to figure out who this person was, what they did, and how they died.
Oh, yeah.
That
And
sounds
I mean,
interesting.
it's kind of like Clue, except you're not finding who killed them.
Gotcha.
At least I don't think you are.
You're
I can't remember that one very well.
You're going for like cause of death, not so much who did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the last one I actually played was a kaiju. It was kind of like a board game. It came with figurines, cards, and everything else. It was a mix of what I guess he would call a tabletop game. It was a mix of like Dungeons and Dragons, mixed with somewhat of a board game type feel. It was actually quite fun, especially if you're into like kaijus and destroying cities and fighting the other people's monsters. It was actually pretty fun.
I'd rather die in a Jaeger. Anyway, moving on.
What, you don't like kaijus? Fuck you, dude.
I do. I was kidding. Oh god.
Better be. Or else send Ultraman with Godzilla and Rodan to kick your ass.
Let them fight.